Hey cats, it's your midsole man EDDBUD here. The HOKA SKYWARD X has just launched over in the US. Bit strange, we've had it here in the UK for several weeks now, but I'm glad you guys stateside can finally check it out. There's a load of running shoe options that eclipse that 40mm stack height limit that's been imposed for championship racing, though for us mere mortals, it means we can dip our toes into an endless sea of cushion without any real penalty. As such, today I'm focusing on shoes with above 40mm of stack height in the heel. The colossal beast, the HOKA SKYWARD X, the skyscraper-like stack of the SUPERBLAST from ASICS, the one that started it all with above 50mm of stack in the heel, the ADIDAS PRIMEX STRUNG, and the often forgotten Saucony KINVARA Pro. How do these premium cushion models shape up against each other? Let's check it out. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Also, drop us a comment below for the algorithm. Dankeschön. Getting some more miles into the HOKA SKYWARD X recently within my training for the Bristol Half Marathon coming up in May. Been enjoying the miles in this one, though always carefully walking through low door frames. You know what I mean? It's a massive stack in my size of the shoe. It's about 54mm, pretty much identical to the PRIMEX STRUNG 2 that I reviewed very recently. In fact, I think the weight in both shoes is almost identical, which leads me to discuss the upper really of the PRIMEX STRUNG 2. I just feel that this one's a far better option than that latest version of that Adizero Max Stack shoe. Upper's much more plush here, much more comfortable. You're getting a similar underfoot feel. I really didn't like the bunching that I had in the upper on the PRIMEX 2 Strung. I think the HOKA's just a better anchor to get the foot on top of that midsole base. What Adidas were thinking about with that shoe is just beyond me. I got to like 100 miles and had some decent outsole durability, but I can't really say that the shoe was that exciting to run in. I think if you want that cushion and stack, but you want it to be far more fun and exciting, then try and pick up a pair of the original Strung. These are way better. Sadly though, it doesn't look like there's too many around right now. You might have to go to one of the reseller sites to pick one up. I think the other thing to consider here is the SKYWARD X is coming in way cheaper than the PRIMEX. About £70 cheaper in fact than the PRIMEX 2 Strung. I think I got these on a discount as well on sportshoes.com. I think retail they're about £185 here in the UK. That's Earth credits. Though if you want something that's a little bit closer to the original weight of the PRIMEX Strung, you're going to have to go for the CELO X1 from HOKA. That's a more similar cushion there, a little bit more propulsive with weight that's not quite as through the roof as the SKYWARD X. And of course you haven't got that 50mm plus stack height that you've got in the Adizero PRIMEX Strung or the SKYWARD X. Got to talk about the outsole in terms of this comparison really. HOKA have really improved their outsole rubber in recent models. The grip is far better in the SKYWARD X than any of those Carbon X models that we've had over the last few years. Better grip and the quality of the materials is a real improvement this time round. They've upped their game in many areas of their shoes, other than just the stack height. So if you're going to compare this one up against the PRIMEX 2 Strung, there's no real comparison. I think this is a far better shoe. They just nerfed that PRIMEX 2 Strung in almost every way. Though if you compare it up against the original PRIMEX Strung, well, there's only one winner. So if I had to have this one or the PRIMEX 2 Strung, definitely the SKYWARD X so far. A lighter and nimbler opponent this time in the ASICS SUPERBLAST. You got a lot of width here in the SUPERBLAST. In today's video, this is easily the widest shoe in both the forefoot and the heel. I mean, the SKYWARD X is close, but in terms of weight, well, there's no comparison whatsoever. There's over 70 grams difference between these two. 281 grams in my size of the SUPERBLAST versus 355 in the SKYWARD X. Although the SUPERBLAST is a touch cheaper. They have made it a little bit cheaper actually than the original release. I think these are about £195 here in the UK. That is a lot of money. There's plates and all sorts of other tech built into the SKYWARD X, whereas ASICS have kept it quite simple really here in the Superblast. It's two different sections of foam here. You've got Flight Foam Turbo and then Flight Foam Blast Plus on that sort of under layer. It might not be the most stacked in today's video, but it's easily the most forgiving cushion underfoot. Putting the SKYWARD X up against the Superblast is almost a mismatch really in terms of the weight. The upper on the Blaster is just way more breathable, more flexible, probably a better bet if you're living in a very warm climate, like the UK for example. Apparently all the American runners that came over here to do London said it was really tough. Well, that's what it's like here. Humid, sticky, and just generally quite nasty when it's warm. The materials here are just there to simply latch the foot down onto that midsole base, a malleable midsole base. It just makes the Superblast a much more versatile shoe if you're going to pick it up for your rotation. Just feels smooth and effortless in terms of its implementation. Is the SKYWARD X compressive? Yes, but I think with the extra plate here, which is quite a strange shape, doesn't feel quite as squashy perhaps as the ASICS. It's certainly not a shoe that I'd want to run an all-out 5k or 10k effort in. It's just a lot of it. Very much an easy day offering, this one. When the legs are tired, I need something to throw on for recovery, or perhaps a long run when the leg protection is the top priority. Though I would suggest it does actually break in really nicely. It's not quite as rigid as it was out the box. I mean, in every way, the ASICS is weight relieved against the HOKA. Less rubber on the outsole, less stack in the heel, and less padding across the top of the foot. Can't say I've experienced any discomfort or rubbing in the Superblast whatsoever. It remains one of the best shoes of 2023 for me, and probably 2024 actually when I think about it. It's a bit like comparing apples v oranges. Horses for courses, I suppose. Price is almost into like super shoe race territory though with the Superblast. A little bit easier to stomach with the SKYWARD X. It just remains one of those unicorn type shoes really that you can use for almost anything. So I think if I had to have one pair out of these two, I'd probably err with the Superblast right now. If you've got the cash and you can only afford one single pair. Getting this one in hand again makes me want to go out and run in it once again. Although it's been a long week already of miles and this one's calling me. Okay, what we got next? Another mammoth midsole in the Saucony Kinvara Pro. Now, there's not really much Kinvara about this one, it has to be said. I mean, the Kinvara 14 was like close to like 200 grams or something, against the mass of the Kinvara Pro. There's about 322 grams here, so it is a little bit lighter, though there's not quite as much midsole stack here underfoot. I think a few people assumed that the Kinvara Pro was going to be this sort of nimble, longer distance shoe, perhaps a little bit like a Saucony version of the Superblast, but it was far from that model really. In practice, I actually find the SKYWARD X a little bit more cushioned underfoot, less controlling in fact through the foot strike than the Kinvara Pro. This one's very rigid with that 3/4 length carbon plate. I think that was the main reason that a lot of people found this one quite hard to get on with. Didn't work all that well for them at all, and not a versatile option in any way. I found it was good at steady speed with a few bursts thrown in there, but at slower recovery paces it felt a little bit like the shoe was controlling me and not me controlling the shoe. It's kind of strange really. They used the bottom layer of the midsole foam as the outsole and I had some quite quick wear on it, whereas we got gallons of proper rubber here. It's going to last for ages. Much better traction on this stuff than the exposed EVA like material. Almost felt like the Power Run PB top layer was nerfed a little bit really. I think they had a Power Run Plus insole in this one too. The upper was a little bit more Kinvara like I suppose. A few suede hits, and I really love that on a Saucony shoe. But overall I just feel the SKYWARD X actually works a little bit better in terms of the materials that are used, and the combination there just feels like the stack's giving you a little bit more benefit, where the Kinvara Pro didn't feel like that. Just goes to show it's not about having a carbon plate or a very specific type of foam. The whole thing has to work together for it all to be beneficial for you. As such, the SKYWARD X does a better job of that type of shoe, despite the fact that it's got a bit of extra weight on top of the Kinvara Pro. If I had to have one pair out of these two, I'd definitely err towards the HOKA this time. Just feels a little bit more fun and less demanding, but it does provide some significant leg saving cushion, perhaps if you're training for a half or full marathon. And sadly that was a little bit lacking in the Kinvara Pro this time around. I wonder if they'll persist with this one with a second version. We shall see. Okay, that's all my thoughts and comparisons today on the HOKA SKYWARD X. Have you picked up a pair of these over in the US? Have you been running in them in the UK over the last few weeks since they released? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Very quick musical interlude for you. I'm a big Fallout fan. I remember playing 3 for hours, also New Vegas and Fallout 4. I did miss Fallout 76, wasn't really my thing. I like those single player games. Love the soundtrack of this one and how they've integrated it into the Fallout TV show. The series is fantastic, one of the best video game related series ever. This has the right vibe, the right kind of characters there. Everything feels like a true love letter to the video games. The ink spots, I don't want to set the world on fire. What a great tune. Every time you hear it, it's just associated now with that video game. I mean, it couldn't be any better, really. It fits everything in terms of the lyrics, the sound, the atmosphere. Do recommend you go and check out some of those early tracks that have been utilised there. And the TV show as well is absolutely fantastic if you've got access to Amazon or whatever it's on. Go and check it out, people. Stuff from Fallout. Maybe you can have a bit of Nuka-Cola while you're watching it and a squirrel on a stick. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button because we're almost at 50,000 subscribers. Maybe it could be you. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and also drop us a comment below for the algorithm. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you